Hey everybody, it's Muffin and welcome back to the channel. This is going to be my first video going over a comp that I played in set 7.5 PBE. In my first video of set 7, I actually pointed out a comp that I thought would be strong throughout the meta, and that was going to be a guild Twitch build where you play Swiftshot Twitch with a bunch of Cavalier frontlines. This ended up actually evolving into the guild xayah build, just ended up being a little bit stronger than the Twitch version I was playing. But something that I always thought would make this build way stronger was a guild dragon, and now we have one with Zippy, who adds like 20 armor and magic resist to the entire team, as well as now you have Jace, and you don't have to worry about running Rise, who's pretty useless if he's not mage. So having the ability to get like 7 guild without needing an emblem, I thought made this comp a whole lot stronger, so I decided to try it. So let's get into the game, and maybe hit that like button if you enjoy my content. Thank you. So off of first carousel, I got a Senna with a BF sword, and Senna's a pretty good item holder earlier on, especially now that Rage Wing is just a 2-piece. Getting something like Senna and Set for Rage Wing and then just 2 of any frontline is pretty good, especially if you can start off with Cavaliers like Sejuani and Lilia, or even Rell. We're mostly going to be re-rolling for 2 costs, so staying at level 6. I find Rell is one of the better Cavaliers for a tank, and Sejuani's decent if you can get her 3-star, but if not, I wouldn't really itemize her. But yeah, Senna uses actually all of our items for our Twitch. I think the most important thing for Twitch is having Runon's Hurricane plus Rageblade. It really procs a lot off of him getting that insane attack speed from guild, as well as a lot of attack damage when you get Jason. For our first augment, we're offered Tiny Titans, Triforce, and Weak Spot. I just take Weak Spot instantaneously because it's really good. It's anti-healing. If you've been playing against Swain's got so much healing in his kit. And then also we just found 2 Twitches for free on accident. Like, can't complain about that at all. So we don't need to hold on to these Rage Wing units. Hopefully we'll just be able to find a Swiftshot, and then any frontline I do pre-level to level 4. This is because I'm pretty strong. Even though I have no upgraded units, all my units are 2 costs, as well as I actually have a pretty solid frontline in a Braum 2 and a Zac 2. Admittedly, I probably should have committed my items a bit sooner, maybe making this Deathblade. I feel like with 2 swords, there's not much else you're going to make on Twitch. Deathblade, Runon's Hurricane, and Rageblade, actually probably best in slot. So I don't know why I held on to these real quick, but I do end up getting a Twitch 2 pretty early. This is partially why it's really good to level up. Just because you want to get better odds at 2-starring your 2 cost units, would be a lot less likely to have this Twitch 2 by now. And now we're actually very strong, even though we could have tried and stayed for a Leona 2, but Leona 2 is not nearly as powerful as a Twitch 2, so it is a pretty decent leveling spot, I still think. I do think a lot of people prioritize Rageblade as one of their like primary items. And you start off with a bow and a rod, it's not a bad thing. I do think with Twitch you get so much speed from just being a Swiftshot and a guild. So it's probably more important to focus on getting your Runons and then whatever your second item is going to be. Maybe it's a Giant Slayer, maybe it's an Infinity Edge, whatever is good for your lobby. I could even potentially see you running 2 Runon's Hurricanes, or maybe even a healing item. I've had Gunblade work in the past. I do decide to sell this Wukong. Wukong is not going to fit into our comp at all. As well as we get pretty lucky with the Sejuani pair here. Zeri does pretty good damage even at 1-star, so I'm fine having her in. I can't look right now, but I do think she's an AD champion. But either way, she's insane, kind of like she was at the end of set 7, kind of like she was at the end of set 6.5, but obviously she's just a 3-cost version of it now, and she doesn't go zipping across the board, but pretty strong nonetheless. So second carousel, we're pretty much only able to get a glove or a belt because we're last pick. I'm down to just kind of slam Sunfire here, as well as put it on Zac. Zac's the one I'm closer to having a pair of. And I sell my Sejuanis here. I don't think anyone's re-rolling Sejuani, so I decided to level up just to keep tempo. A lot of people on PBE play pretty greedy, and we already hit our major upgrade, so I was okay leveling up here and trying to keep good shop odds for 2-cost units. Hitting an upgraded Zac would be huge right now. Now, admittedly, what I should have done is held on to one of the Sejuanis just to see if I would have gotten through this match. Instead of buying this Wukong here, I would have been able to keep one Sejuani so that I would be able to throw it in if we did hit. So we'd be able to get 2 guild in if we did hit. This admittedly wasn't a great play, but we did win the fight. Doing a little bit of scouting, seeing no one's entirely strong, except for there is one Rengar player. This is when Rengar was insanely broken on the first day. I do know he got nerfed. I don't know if he's nerfed enough, especially with Hodge being broken and then Darkflight being able to put Hodge on every one of their Darkflight units. It was a little bit rough playing anything other than Darkflight in my opinion, but yeah, I was pretty confident we were going to be able to win this fight. I sell the both Wukongs in order to make 20 gold, and actually our econ and our entire state is in a really good spot. We're at 100 HP, and I don't see us really getting beat out by anyone in the lobby for a little bit of time. On Krugs, we do find ourselves a Zippy, and I decided to throw it in. This is because Zeri's not really going to stay in our comp for much longer, especially now that we have Zippy. So having the 6 gold in order to get 30 gold is super important. important. And we find 2 bows off of Krug, so I just go ahead and slam the Deathblade. Ideally, we find Runons next, but we're actually in a super good spot now with 4 guild, which feels super good. I love guild so much. It's my favorite trait. And Zippy's actually a really good dragon, being a 6 cost. You've seen the title of the video and the thumbnail. You already know I go for a Zippy 3, but I also don't even think Zippy 3 is necessary. I think even a 2-star Zippy does insane work for your entire team. So instead of rolling for it on 7, you can probably just go level 9 or level 8, get in your 7 guild with Jace, and you're gonna pop off. His targeting's a bit odd, but he does do decent damage here, even being able to kill this Rengar, even though the Rengar's killed our entire team, because like I said, he was insanely broken and he had Hodge, which gave a bunch of bonus stats for no reason. For a second augment, we're offered Celestial Blessing, Preparation, and Thrill of the Hunt. I think it's a trap to try and go for Preparation here, even though we are rerolling Twitch. He could get a bunch of those stacks, but it makes you hold units in a weird way. Like if we found Twitch 3 on the next fight, you'd almost like not want to play it, which is not great. As well as any healing on your Twitch is really good. You want to give him full damage items. So I decided to go for Thrill of the Hunt here. He's going to do most of the killing on our team. So while Celestial Blessing does give a decent amount of HP, Thrill of the Hunt allows us to focus onto Twitch a bit better, especially with him having Runons. He will be doing most of our killing. We do find ourselves with a Sejuani, and I decided to level just to get 5 guild in. Still Twitch our only upgraded unit, but honestly, with this much guild and having Zac as a frontline and a 2 Guardian frontline, I don't think we're that worried. Zippy's pretty strong, and he gives so much armor and MR to your entire team that we are not complaining at all. And even without Swiftshot or Rageblade, our Twitch is just killing everything. On 3-3, we're able to get an upgraded Zac. Feels great to have our Sunfire on him now. And honestly, we're just really happy. Even being able to take out this Somme pretty easily. It doesn't have any... It had a Rageblade, to be fair, so not great. But win streaking all the way to 3-4 should mean we're just so much more powerful than most of the lobby. We're going to be last pick, but getting this Graves with a belt is actually really nice. Getting us a little more effective HP. With the amount of defensive stats you're going to get from both Zippy and Cavalier, effective HP I think is the best thing for your tanks in this build. So working ourselves probably towards a Warmogs. And for a moment here, we've hit our upgraded Braum, we've hit our upgraded Sejuani, as well as we hit the Rel. I was trying to debate which version of this would actually be stronger, if having 2 Cavalier would be better than having Zippy in. My thinking was we put in our 2 Cavalier, and then once we hit Zippy 2, a 2-star Dragon, he should be stronger than 2 Guardian, especially with the amount of guild he offers to our team. So since we have it as Zippy 1, I was kind of okay taking him out. But the second that we hit Zippy 2, he's going to replace our Guardians. Especially now that we have a Rel 2. Off of Wolves, we do hit our Runon's Hurricane as well as our Warmogs. And we even find our Zippy 2. So out go the Guardians, and in goes our Zippy. And this is an interesting decision. I decided to put my tank items on Zippy. And this is because pretty late into the game, I don't think our Cavaliers are going to do that much. However, Zippy is a super annoying unit to deal with for a long time. He does a lot of damage, but I wouldn't necessarily itemize him with damage items. Having a bunch of health on this Zippy because he has so much armor that he gets from his guild trait. He is going to live forever, and no one's ever going to touch our backline except for Rengar. But I don't think having items on our Cavaliers is going to make Rengar not attack our Twitch. He's pretty much Talon, but is guaranteed to attack your main carry. For a third augment, we're offered Axiom Arc, Cybernetic Implants, and Dragon Imperialist. Dragon Imperialist, if you only have 1 dragon, which we are only planning on playing Zippy, dragons execute enemies who are below 15% health. I think Cybernetic Implants wouldn't be that great since we already have a Deathblade, as well as once Jace comes in, he gives you a bunch of attack damage as well. He's kind of the new Talon. So Dragon Imperialist or Reroll is kind of the only option here, but we also super love this Dragon Imperialist because we don't really care to play any other dragons anyways. We'd have to lose too much on guild. I don't think I mentioned earlier, but we did high roll a Xayah. You can play any Swiftshot, but Xayah really fits in, mostly because you're going to play Hecarim at some point. And we're also just finding a bunch of Rels, which I am super fine with. Rel's a pretty decent tank. And here at 4-2, we're 2 off of Rel 3, 2 off of Twitch 3. I think Twitch is a pretty underestimated champion. He was most of set 7 in lieu of Xayah, so we should be able to 3-star these units pretty easily. Also getting 180% bonus off of this skill trait, so we're just naturally super fast. And you can see our Zippy's just not really even losing that much HP the entire fight. On 4-3, we found 1 more Rel, so I decided to roll down looking for our upgrades. And we even find another Twitch, so we are perfectly fine rolling down to try and hit our 3 stars. And we rolled down to 10, and we hit both of them. And now I'm just pretty sure we're stronger than anything else in the lobby. A lot of people are trying to reroll comps. This Kaisa reroll looks not good at all, but now we're in a decent state to just build back up our econ and push levels all the way up to 8. Hoping to find a Jace and a Hecarim. They'll get Rage Weighing in for our Xayah. It's going to be an okay second carry for us. We're lucky enough to kind of have 3 carries in this comp between Twitch, Xayah, and Zippy. Off of the 4th carousel, we're able to find our Rod. That's going to finish off our Twitch with a Rage Blade. And honestly, I would consider us best in slot right now. Now in this comp, ideally, if you get a spat, probably the best thing you could do is build a Cavalier your spat on your Zippy or maybe your Jace. And now that we have magic resist and armor as one of the stats, it's even okay if you get a guild emblem. You don't necessarily have to put it on Xayah. If you have a fully itemized Xayah, you can put it on any of our Cavaliers as well, so they're just a little bit more beefy. Rel would love the magic resist. Past that, you can probably put Swiftshot emblem on Zippy. I'm not too sure there's many other good items. You could probably put a Ragewing emblem even on Sejuani, mostly because we don't care about her cast that much, and then we wouldn't have to play Hecarim, and then we can just focus on Jason Bard. And here is the broken Rengar. Absolutely insane unit day one. He would just heal himself infinitely, as well as this Hodge. It's too good on all these units. I remember I played Rengar for a bit, and even my Rel was able to do like insane damage. Now this game, it was just the normal Treasure Dragon. I decided to just take this Zeke's Herald plus a tier and a belt. I figured Trap Claw and Zeke's would be pretty decent. We also found a Hecarim in our shop, so whenever we decide to level, we can throw him in and get in our 2 Ragewing. And for the most part, our build is entirely set. I do decide to level and throw in the Hecarim, mostly because I was worried about the positioning. I wasn't able to keep my Twitch covered, as well as having someone up in the front line. Plus now we'll have a better chance of getting our upgraded Xayah, as well as finding our Jace. I'm still pretty confident that Zippy 3 doesn't matter at all. So if you're trying to run this build, I wouldn't roll at 7 at all. If you find a couple of Zippies and you're like maybe really close and it won't grief your econ, then maybe. But I think the more guild you're going to be able to fit into your comp has infinitely more valuable. So if you're able to go level 8 and maybe even level 9 and get your 7 guild in, I think that's a lot stronger than a Zippy 3. On 5th carousel, I take this Gargoyle Stoneplay. Arguably, I probably should have taken either this Zeke's Herald or this Jace with a Hodge on it. I was avoiding Hodge because it was broken. I didn't feel like abusing any bugs, but ideally you would go for this Jace, I think. Rel already has so much armor and magic resist coming from guild and Cavalier, but of the options, I thought this was one of the better ones. Here we take our first loss in a while to this Pantheon build. I'm not entirely sure where actually all the damage came from. If I had to imagine, it's just because we're on the right side, so we're not attacking any of his warrior units for a decent part of the fight. So this Olaf and this Yone are probably able to just do a whole bunch of damage, plus the Edge of Night on Pantheon is going to let him heal back up before we're able to turn around and kill him. He's also got Whisper in, which just shreds all of the armor and magic resist that we had accrued over the fight. Tempest gets a decent stun off as well, so it's actually a pretty decent counter to us, as well as this Thrill of the Hunt too allowed him to get a lot of healing off. Next shop, we actually find a Jace, and I decide to swap sides to target these warrior units first, so they do a little bit less damage throughout the fight. And it seems like for the most part, it worked magnificently. Getting this death cap off of the Test of Valor is not super great. Jace is an AP unit, but he also doesn't do that much damage, but he's pretty much the only unit we're going to be able to put it on anyways. I leveled to 8 here and try and find a couple more upgrades, maybe a Xayah 2. We hit a Xayah 2 and Hecarim 2. Oh, and I actually decided to put this death cap on Rel. I think Rel was actually doing some like decent damage. So if you have extra AP items, you can probably put them on her. She creates like a link between her and her farthest ally or something like that, dealing a bit of damage. So maybe Jace would be better, but honestly at this point of the game, I don't think it's that relevant. And at this point, we're pretty confident we're just not going to beat this Mr. China Lee. He's playing Rengar. Rengar's broken. He's also playing Hodge, and Hodge is insane. So that combo's kind of just gross. So now we're just here for the content, trying to find this Zippy 3. I haven't really pressed it a lot in this video, but he's actually been doing a lot of true damage from his executes. Zippy has been annihilating several units throughout the entire fight. Here on Carousel 6, Mans is griefing, so he steals our guild emblem, but we do take the Hodge, put it on Xayah, hope she'll be able to do something, and trying to find some positioning where we just don't immediately get attacked by Rengar. Rengar he's a stupid champion because he is guaranteed to attack whoever has the lowest MR on your team within attack range. Luckily, because of Zippy, Twitch actually is not the first person in that category. It's actually Xayah, which is why I'm okay with Xayah not having too many items. But even like here, doing a sneaky positioning all the way on the right with a solo Twitch, you just can't escape his entire team because Rengar is guaranteed to fly at you even though he was nowhere close, as well as Zippy. But despite this guy stealing our Zippy 2, we roll down and we hit the dude. Give that boy a Giant Slayer and watch him do the work. He did fucking nothing.